Hello and welcome to another episode of Sustainability Cafe, a podcast channel from Waste and Recycling magazine. Today, we will explore the transformative journey of Lindner, an Austrian-based recycling technology provider whose solutions have been making waves in the Middle East and Africa region. Joining us today is Amr Salem, Regional Sales Manager, Lindner, Middle East and Africa. I'm very happy to have you on the show.
Krithana, thank you so much for having me today. It's my pleasure being part of this podcast, talking about our industry and the role we play within it.
I know that you have had a very interesting career path. Can you talk about how your journey started with Lindner and how your deep understanding of the Middle East and Africa market helps you approach this industry?
Sure, Krithana. I have been together with Lindner for the last 5, almost 6 years. Before that, I have been in the project management domain for the last 15 years almost. And I myself am no stranger to the UAE. I used to be a resident of Dubai before moving to Austria. And as you and I both know, you don't really disconnect from the UAE after you've lived here for a while. So my connections, my friends, my little home away from home is still in Dubai.
Lindner has been at the forefront of recycling technology for over 7 decades. While circular economy and sustainability are gaining momentum in this part of the world, Lindner has been having this vision, have been championing this vision globally for many years. Can you take us back to the journey of Lindner, how it started off as a shredding specialist and how it evolved into various areas, and how it has become a leader in recycling technology?
Gladly. We have to look a little bit into the history of Lindner. We have recently celebrated 75 years of our establishment back in the 1940s, where we started off producing sawmill equipment. Then we see Austria introducing the landfill ban, which was one amongst the very first countries in the world, not only in Europe, which created a demand for equipment to process waste. There we also see the birth of Lindner's first single shaft shredder back in the 1980s. We fast forward to turn of the century, we see Lindner delivering one of Europe's first RDF plants. Then recently, within the last, a little over 10 years ago, we see the birth of Lindner WashTech, which specializes in washing lines for plastics. And most recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, we see Lindner Recyclingtech's new home of recycling, our new facilities, 14,000 square meters of production facility with an investment over a little over 54 million euros. And this project in itself is a testimonial to Lindner and its capabilities. We're talking about the project being incepted in 16 months at the peak of the corona pandemic. Wow. We're talking about 16 months during winter, frozen ground, snow. From the groundbreaking ceremony till the first machine production started, in itself is testimonial to Lindner's willpower and how we get things done when we say we want to get things done.
Amazing. It shows a lot about the leadership as well as the team that is working behind this.
Exactly. Because now Lindner is a family-owned business. We take a lot of pride in that. We are currently under the 3rd generation of the Lindner family management, and the 4th generation is already quite involved in the company. So this brings to us a sense of stability and clear direction and vision of what we as Lindner, not just the Lindner family, but the Lindner team as well, want to achieve and on which direction and path we're going.
Great. So Lindner started off as a shredding specialist, but over the years it has evolved into offering very comprehensive solutions like plastic processing, plastic recycling, wood waste processing, and SRF, and so on. Can you talk about all the offerings?
Sure. We are quite diversified. We've set ourselves in that way to be able to tailor to the requirements of the industry. We have our different segments, different divisions, and each of them focus on the requirements of what is happening in the market, what has happened in the past, and where is this direction going to. Whether we are talking, as you've listed, whether we're talking about processing waste, recovery, recycling, alternative fuels, wood, scrap, plastics all the way from in-house production, post-consumer production, washing lines. We've recently delivered food grade washed PET at Lindner Washtech. So we've really spread out throughout the spectrum, and this gives us a strength to see the changes that are happening at the beginning of the chain all the way towards the end of the chain. So when we at Lindner really talk about closing the loop, we have a full view of that loop on how to create solutions or better our solutions that are already existed to be able to tailor to these requirements.
Right. Let's shift our focus to Middle East and Africa. Can you talk about some of the recent projects or collaborations that is being undertaken by Lindner?
Sure. I don't think we have enough time to list them all, but just I want to let's use the UAE for example as an example representing the Middle East. If you look at the powerhouses of the industry, whether we're talking about BR or IMDAD or Dubai Municipality's waste to energy plant, we are there. Lindner is there with its solutions. We are in close contact to our partners. We are listening to what they have to say, and we're observing our solutions also in operation, because the Middle East is a very unique market with its requirements. That being said, we have a piece of equipment that's actually running in the plastics market in Saudi Arabia for a little over 25 years now. It was a funny gimmick of how we came to discussions on that topic, but the processing aspect and that the fact that we have our equipment so far away from home back then, before the whole globalization phenomenon was quite evident and clear, talks to you about how trusted Lindner solutions are worldwide.
Yeah, that's really impressive that you have had a solution 25 years back when recycling and waste management was not that advanced, if you could say that. So MEA, this region, presents unique opportunities and also challenges. What are the key trends that is driving recycling in this region? And how is Lindner adapting to the needs of this region?
Here, we really have to look at how different operations are in the Middle East. And we're not talking just about waste management, we're also talking about the waste generation, large populations, a large demand, where we are currently, for example, working on a project here in the GCC to process around a little over 3,600 tons of household waste per day. That is a large number to be processed. And this is kind of the topic to discuss. In addition to the fact that we have single source waste generation here when we talk about household waste, I know there's a lot of effort being made within the communities, within the legislators to advance that and start to introduce waste segregation at source to make the process easier for all the involved stakeholders, recycling companies, waste management companies, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Are there any region-specific challenges that you see working with the recyclers and waste management companies here, and how do you address them?
See, I think once you start talking about regional aspects, and especially the Middle East, the first thing that comes to people's mind is going to be, the high temperature or the humidity. Yeah. Yes, they do play a role in determining how we design a solution, but that's not just that. You have to really look at the waste generation aspect, this waste characterization. Let's go back to taking UAE as an example. You are talking about one of the world's top tourist destinations. You've got millions and millions of people flocking in and flocking out, each with their own habits, each knowing whether to segregate, whether not to segregate, how they split the waste, how this waste is being collected. All that plays a role. And the way waste looks, for example, in summer is quite different to the way it looks in winter or in autumn. So you have to take into consideration the full spectrum and take into the consideration as well the requirements of all the stakeholders and the involved stakeholders when you're designing a solution.
Right. When you're talking about waste processing, one size fit all approach doesn't work. So Lindner would have to customize its solutions according to the industry, according to the customer. How do you go about it?
I think our strength really lies within our own in-house engineering. Whether it's our application engineers, whether it's our system design engineers, whether it's our product engineers, we really sit down with our customers, take into consideration every single requirement that they have. Even sometimes we have to step away from our standard portfolio to make something unique or something specially designed to be able to deliver to our customers what they expect or need. And this is something that we really take a lot of pride in, is this know-how that we've developed over the 75 years, combined with the new technology that we've introduced into our own home of recycling, as we call it at Lindner. Our automation, the use of state-of-the-art technology is all aspects that, combined with this know-how, allows us to be able to deliver solutions that meet the requirements.
So you were mentioning about automation. I'm sure Lindner has taken an earlier lead with automation. How is that, and how is its state-of-the-art technologies having an impact on the operation side of things?
As I mentioned, we've recently moved into our new facilities where we have invested quite heavily in state-of-the-art technology that we are using. The main focus there was to improve processes, make them more efficient, faster, and with a high focus on quality. That being said, we are not looking at the replacement of manpower. At Lindner, we value our human element. Everyone on the production line, in the offices, are a valuable asset to Lindner. What we have there is tools to help them perform faster, better, and more efficient. When we look at that, when we move to our new facilities at the peak of the corona pandemic, people were being let go from other industries. At that point of time, Lindner itself was growing. We've added to our teams 100 new people in different branches and different sectors within the company at that time. Whilst we continue to grow, the human element is also quite important, because this is where a lot of our strength is this know-how.
Let me ask about what is cooking in the R&D department of Lindner.
Okay, so that is where all the good secrets are kept. We are currently working on our new introductions for the K and the upcoming IFAT. What I'm at liberty to disclose now is basically what we've announced at the past IFAT. We saw the introduction of our Merak single shaft mobile shredder, which is making quite an impact on the market currently in terms of introductions of new products. Now, what we take a lot of pride in at Lindner is that we're always close to our customers and we listen to what they have to see. And this brought up a new adaptation to one of our most well-known products, the Lindner Comet. We've introduced a bolted knife holder onto that. It's a bit more away from the circular aspect, but more into the focus of operations, etc. But this was a result of us listening to our customers and what they actually need to make their life easier in terms of processing.
Looking ahead, what's Lindner's vision for Middle East and Africa? And are there any upcoming projects that you could talk about? And are there any particular country where you see the greatest potential for a recycling boom?
I wouldn't zone it out to one specific country. There's a strong wave of change happening at the moment within the circular economy worldwide, and it's definitely having its impact on the Middle Eastern markets. We see the strength here being that we are starting off where the others have basically ended. You've already tackling the points of, you have the certain deadlines, whether it's 2030, whether it's 2040, a clear direction you want to go on to a zero landfill diversion, a pathway to how you want to achieve it. And then we are currently, as I said, there's one project where we are working on to process a large quantity of municipal household waste into RDF. But I wouldn't really zone it out into one country and to one domain, because that change is also happening not only from top down, but you see also the social awareness that whether it's businesses, people, all the stakeholders involved into tackling the topic of processing waste, minimizing waste, or reusing, so that you're turning this waste into a resource.
Yeah. Would you say this is a great time to be in this industry?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot going on. It's quite vibrant. It's changing quite dynamically. You have to be on your feet in tackling all these topics quite quickly. We're seeing a lot of changes in legislation. We have clear, defined time frames that things need to be executed. Big goals that need to be tackled really quickly. Zero landfill is a big thing to do, and it requires lots of collaborations, and it requires a lot of points to be tackled all at once.
Right. So before we wrap up, I would like to know from you some of the key learnings that you have gained over the years working with the leaders in the recycling industry. And are there any lessons that you could impart to our listeners?
I would have to say, especially around the GCC region, covering also the North African, it's usually go big or go home. All these projects that we're working on are quite elaborate, quite complex. They involve a lot of stakeholders, and we're not just involved in the aspect of a processing line or a processing plant. We really do work with our partners from their very first stages of brainstorming. How can such a project be formulated? How can it be improved? And these projects do take time through the initial stages, and we work with our partners definitely to adapt these projects as they proceed. And there in itself, there's a steep learning curve where you're learning a lot. And you're also leaving your own mark on the different aspects of this project inception.
That's well said. Go big or go home.
Exactly.
So thank you very much for joining us and sharing your insights on Lindner's journey and the impact that is creating in this region. We wish you and Lindner great success in 2025.
Prathana, thank you very much. Thank you for having us. And we at Lindner are very happy to be part of this change that's happening in this market.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.